Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and my favorite type of nails are nails that glow, and now I can make my own glow in the dark dip powder nails anytime I want. So CN Designer Dips recently released this glow powder kit and I am super excited. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make my entire mani glow. So it comes with 3 separate glow pigments. They're smaller jars because these are pure pigments. So you will need to mix it with your acrylic dip powder in order to do a mani with it. So I'm just showing you this jar really here. It's a small jar, but a little bit goes a long way. So there's 3 different colors. We've got aqua, we've got green, and we've got blue. In the kit also comes with a little measuring spoon, so you can kind of measure out how much glow pigment you use. You can use a little bit for a little bit of glow. You can use more, but there's definitely tips and tricks on how to use these pigments because you don't want too much powder to where it's going to impact the color of what you're doing. So we'll talk a little bit more about it as we get into it. But you can see here, they all kind of have like that slight color to them, which is why you want to be careful with like the ratios that you mix in. I have used other glow pigments before and I've mixed them in with my gel polishes to make my gel polish manis glow, but I won't be doing that in today's video. So if that's something you'd like you to see me try with these glow pigments, let me know and I can also do a video on that as well. I'm going to start by mixing up my powder. So I have these jars off of Amazon. These are from the brand Beauticom. I'll leave them linked down below in the description. They're the best brand that I found for storing my dip powders because they don't spill at all and they have all different sizes. So I have many different sizes of these Beauticom jars from smaller to larger. I just really like them and they're really great for mixing, or if you're sharing dip powders, they're great for that as well. So starting with my first dip powder, this is Livewire. This is such a fun one because it's a thermal and a UV changer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose which of the glow powders I'm going to use because of course I'm going to use all 3 of them. So I'm going to use 3 dip powder colors and then I'm going to use 3 of the glow powders as well. I decided to mix in the blue glow pigment with the Livewire. And by the way, when I say the color, I don't mean the color of the pigment. That's actually the color of the glow. So CN Designer Dips recommends for this kit as a starting point, you want to do 5 scoops of the glow pigment, that little scoop that comes with the kit, to every 1 teaspoon of your dip powder. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. You don't have to, you can kind of play around with what ratios you want, but I'm going to do starting with what they recommend. So I'm doing the 5 scoops of the glow pigment. So you can see even with 5 scoops, I barely touched the jar. So this will go a long way. And then I didn't have a teaspoon handy, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. So this is a little spoon I use for pour over. It's about a teaspoon or so, so it doesn't have to be exact. So I'm just going to pour in some of that dip powder, and then I want to make sure that I'm mixing the glow pigment with the dip powder really well. So I put the jar back on, the cap back on the jar. I'm giving it a good shake, but I noticed because the glow pigments are heavier, I didn't feel like it was fully incorporated. So I'm going to take an orange wood stick and I'm going to stir it as well. And that's why anytime I'm using a glow powder, instead of just shaking the jar, I always make sure that I stir it with an orange wood stick as well, just to reincorporate those pigments. So as you can see, the on the right with the glow pigment, it's just a slight lighter than the original color, and then the glow. Look at how beautiful this glows. So you can see the blue glow. You can see the other jars on my table as well, that they're glowing. So this one is so fun. I mean, I feel like the 5-to-1 worked really well. So I'm going to continue with that ratio, moving on to my other powders. By the way, the dip powders that I'm using are from the Drop the Beat Volume 1 collection that recently released, and I am super excited because not only is this collection stunning and right up my alley, but the fact that they put Volume 1 in the title probably means that there will be other volumes, so I cannot wait to see what other colors get added to more volumes of this collection. I will also mention that these were all gifted to me as PR, as an ambassador for CN Designer Dips, but you will always get my honest opinions, whether good, bad, or indifferent. I will always share my honest thoughts on the products that I use. And you know my love of CN Designer Dips. I used them for many years before I became an ambassador, and I just haven't been disappointed with any of their products. But anyway, regardless of that, I've moved on to my next dip powder. So I did 5 scoops of the Aqua Glow Pigment, and now I'm mixing that with Backstage Pass, which is such a beautiful pink glitter. So I'm going ahead, mixing them all together, giving them a good stir. And so the thing when you're working with glitters and glow pigments is you have to be really careful because you don't want to dilute it so much with the glow pigment that you impact the coverage of your glitters, because you still probably want really good coverage of your glitter. And also, because these aren't clear pigments, they do have like a little bit of coloring to them. It could impact like the clarity of your glitters. So you don't want to add too much glow pigment that your glitters now become like a little bit cloudy. So that's why I say you need to be really careful, because you want enough glow pigment to where you get a good glow, but you don't want too much to where it becomes cloudy. So I'd say when you're working with glow pigments and glitters, that's when you have to be a little bit more careful. Now, I did feel like it looked like it might have been a little too sparse, so I did add a little bit more of that glitter. And so as you're doing this, you can test it out. So mix your colors together, your pigment with your glitters or colors or whatever it is together. Do a test swatch and see how that looks. And then you can add, or, you can add a little bit more if needed. But, you just don't want to dump a whole bunch together and then it may be too much. So, just start small and test it out. The last mixture I'm going to do is the green glow pigment. So as you can see, it does have like that slight yellowish greenish tinge to it. So I want to be really careful because I will be mixing this with a glitter. So I'm starting with the scoop that came in the kit, and I'm doing 5 scoops of the green glow pigment. And the glitter I'm going to be using, this is Sonic Boom. So this is a mixture of medium, small, and fine glitters. So it's not super chunky, but it is larger glitter pieces. So I want to be careful with that because, like I kind of mentioned before, I don't want it to look cloudy, and I want to make sure that I still have good glitter coverage, because I don't want to do more than 2 dips of the glitter because I don't want my nails to be too bulky. So I went ahead and poured in about a teaspoon or so of that glitter. And so now I'm going to put on the lid to the jar, give that a good shake, and then I'm also going to stir it. So you can sort of see here a little bit that even with the shaking the jar, you don't fully incorporate those glow pigments. So I'm taking my orange root stick, I'm giving that a good stir just to make sure all the glow pigments are incorporated really well with the glitter. With this one as well, I was a little concerned I had too much glow pigment and not enough glitter, so I decided to go ahead and add just a little bit more glitter just to play it safe. I probably should have swatched it out to check, but you probably see in the thumbnail as well as you'll see at the end that I had plenty of glow, even though I mixed in a little bit more glitter, so it was perfectly fine the way I had it. So now we're going to get into the dipping process now that I have all my colors ready. So I'm using my CN Designer Dips dip liquids, and I'm going to be starting with Livewire. So Livewire is a thermal and a UV changer, and now a glow because we added that glow pigment. So thermals change color depending on temperature. So for Livewire, when warm, it's like a light blue whitish color. When cold, it turns to a dark blue color. So depending on the temperature, you get the color change. And then for the UV change, depending on whether it's in normal lighting or if UV light hits it, it will change colors. So you'll see like the light blue to dark blue as I'm dipping it. But if it hits UV light, so meaning the sun, or if you put it in your lamp for curing, once the UV light hits it, it will turn to a purple. So it's just really fun, like the amount of changes that I can get out of this dip powder. And it does have like the pink flakies in there. It seems like these flakies in here are the same flakies that come in Backstage Pass. So it kind of like ties everything together. So it's super fun. I'm going to do 2 dips each of this on my thumb and pinky, and you'll see as I'm dipping, you can sort of see that thermal change happening. So on my nail bed where it's warmer, you can see that light bluish white color, but at my free edge, you can see it turning into that darker blue. So even as I'm going through the dipping process, you can see the color change happening. I'm going to wait to cap all my nails in clear to the very end. So after I finish with my 2 dips of Livewire on my thumb and pinky, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Backstage Pass, which is going to be on my middle finger. Now, Backstage Pass is a hot pink glitter, so it's got small pink glitters in it as well as pink shards. And I feel like the pink shards in here are what's in Livewire. I'm not sure if they're the exact same, but they seem like it. And I feel like it really ties the two colors together. And I love that I brought in Backstage Pass because the other colors are a little bit darker. So I feel like it kind of brightens up the mani a little bit and kind of makes it pop a little bit more. So I went ahead and dipped in my first layer. And then after I dip in, while my dip base is still wet, I want to make sure that I'm pressing down with my finger. You don't have to use your finger. You can like put a finger cot on or use a baggie to press down if you don't want like the dip base on your finger, on your skin. But make sure that you're pressing down because these are shards. They're not like foils. They don't like melt in, but they're not super stiff either. But you do want them to make sure that they're laying flat. So I always suggest that you press down just to make sure that as you go to file and buff, you're not filing through any of those shards. So you can see with the first layer, it's not full coverage, but it is good coverage. But I'm going to fix that with the second layer. And I feel like with the second layer, I get full coverage. So I'm going to build that up with more layers. And that just may be how the dip powder is overall. It may not be because I mixed in that glow pigment. Because to be honest, I got really excited about this collection and I totally skipped the swatching and I just straight in with this mani just because I was super excited to use these colors. I haven't been swatching a lot lately just because I haven't had the time. So I'm sort of just like trusting and hoping that the colors work well together based on the pictures, which can be risky because depending on the settings in your monitor or your phone or whatever you're looking at, the colors may vary. So it's kind of a trust the process, but I am happy with the way this turned out. So once again, while the dip base is drying, while it's still wet, I'm making sure that I'm pressing down just to make sure that all those shard pieces are laying as flat as possible, which isn't difficult to do, but you just want to make sure that you're doing it to make your mani look a little bit cleaner. To save a little bit of time off camera, I capped all my nails in clear, activated, and then filed and buffed. So here's how my mani's looking after all of that. So now we're going to get into the final step of the mani, which is the dip top coat. So in order for dip top coat to dry, it does need activator. So I'm going ahead applying one thin layer of activator to all my nails. I'm going to let that dry for a full 2 minutes. And then after the 2 minutes, I'll go in with my 2 layers of top coat. After 2 minutes, I'm starting with my first layer of top coat. I'm applying it in 2 to 3 swipes on each nail. I want to be fairly quick about it. In between each nail, I'm wiping my brush on that lint-free wipe before returning it to the bottle to remove any excess activator. After I finish with my fifth nail, the first layer has dried and I'm ready to go in with my second layer. And I know it's ready because it'll start looking a little dull and wrinkly. For my second layer, I can take a couple extra strokes. I want to make sure that I have my entire nail covered, and I also want to make sure that I'm capping my free edge. And as always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles with my Scales of Mermaid cuticle oil. This is the scent Existential Crisis, and I love this scent. And this is actually my second bottle of it because I finished off my first bottle. And this is like a really subtle, sweet, fruity scent. I get a lot of strawberry scent from it, but it's not like that sickeningly sweet strawberry. It's just a very subtle, nice strawberry scent. And of course, I love the oils because they're so hydrating and they absorb quickly. If you decide to do any shopping with Scales of a Mermaid, I do have an affiliate code. So you can always use code Genie10 to save 10% off your orders and support me. So that pretty much wraps up today's mani, but before you leave, let me show you the fun transitions. Now, it was about midnight, so I didn't have any sunlight, but I popped my hand in my lamp so you can see this really fun purple UV change on my thumb and pinky, and then the glow. Just look at how bright these glows are, and this is by doing the 5 little scoops of the glow powder. The one thing I'll say is my middle finger, it does have the aqua glow, but because I have the pink glitter on top, it does look pink, but it actually is an aqua glow, and this glowed all night long. So you can have so much fun with these glow pigments. So if you're still here, drop me like a microphone or music note or something like that down below in the comments so I know you hung out. So I hope this video is helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this, and it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.